Hi, and welcome to this episode of Not Your Mother's Marriage. I'm Annmarie Kelly, and I discovered a radical new and different approach, an empowering approach to marriage. One that helps you maintain your identity and keep your independence and keep your personal power intact. And clearly, it's not your mother's marriage. Today, I want to talk with you a little bit about marriage and divorce. And I invited a guest here today. I invited Betti Freelander. Betti Freelander has a company called Blissfully Married. And with her spouse, Michael, Betti teaches couples how to have joyful, happy, blissful marriages, as she does with her own spouse. So welcome, Betti.
Thank you, Annmarie. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad that you could be here. Betti, tell me, how did you get involved in this?
Gosh, we would have to go back to the year 2000. I was getting married to Michael. This is when I met Michael, and my best friend, Karen, said, "You shouldn't marry him." And I was shocked. Well, why not?
She said she told you shouldn't marry him? Like, was she being a good friend? Is that what she was trying to
She
be?
was being a good friend, but you know what? I got her point. I was going to be wife number 4. I mean, come on, right? I knew the odds, and as a matter of fact, I had been married in my 20s. This was years later. I was married from 1982 to 1985, and I swore never again. Because, oh my gosh, to be in a marriage where you were miserable. I was single for years and years and years, and then I met Michael and fell in love. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to marry him anyway. And so that was on Valentine's Day in 2000. Michael and I got married, and it was on the beach in Jamaica, and it was awesome. And a year into the marriage, it started, I don't know. It was good still, but it was definitely not as good. And I started thinking, oh my gosh, what if Karen was right?
She was right, I know. I can imagine that.
She was right. And I kept hearing, I was doing a lot of transformational work at the time, and I kept hearing about this workshop. It was called Celebrating Men, Satisfying Women. And it was led by a woman named Alison Armstrong. And really everybody's like, well, this is the Understanding Men workshop. This is how to understand men. And I thought I understood men. I mean, seriously, I was 40. I was
really do, and we don't.
Right? I was 40 years old. I think I understand what the deal is. And I took this workshop. It was just a weekend workshop. And I realized I didn't know anything about men. I knew nothing. And it taught me what to expect from men, how to work with men, to bring out the best in men. And I started applying that to Michael. And oh my gosh, he was like, you know how the frog transforms into the prince?
Oh yeah.
It was amazing. And it wasn't even like manipulative. It was really just not letting things trigger me and being able to ask for what I need effectively. I mean, that's kind of what I learned.
And so often, Betti, isn't it true as women we're not taught to ask for what we need?
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge, and there's a lot of good reasons for it. But anyway, Michael got really interested in it too, and he started taking courses. There was an Understanding Women course, because obviously quid pro quo, right? So yeah, it works both ways. How does he bring out the best in me? And it started getting easier, and we got very involved, and Allison was training workshop leaders. So we learned how to lead that particular workshop that I talked about, Understanding Men. And years went by, we did that for years, and Allison said, you can have a license to teach this information.
Oh, nice.
Which is how Blissfully Married was born. So this is really Alison Armstrong's work, who's my mentor, but we will be married 20 years. Now on Valentine's Day.
And is this the longest that Michael's been married?
Oh yes. Eons, broke world records.
Oh, that's something.
And he's the world's best husband. He really is. But it's only because I don't walk around feeling resentful. Like I never have to. I learned so many things, and it's like a muscle that you build. Like people say marriage is a lot of work. Well, no, it's really more of a self-awareness. That's where the work comes. It's like noticing, it's like, ooh, just got triggered. Okay, what happened there? Okay, what do I need? Well, how do I ask for what I need? So we learned all these, like, you don't just blurt out what you need. You just say, listen, there's not like this, we need to talk. There's the approach of how do we do this as partners, as opposed to an adversarial, like you should do this because you owe me, and so there's like, okay, so when would be a good time to talk? There's something that I need. Don't worry, you're not in trouble. Like Allison taught us to say that, because you know what? They're always in trouble. Oh my gosh, these poor guys. So there's nothing wrong. There's something that I noticed that I need. When would be a good time to talk about that? And then close my mouth and let him actually tell me when would be a good time to talk. Because half the time when we go to say something, they're actually single focused and they're doing something else, and they're not even listening. Or it's just a bad, you interrupted,
right.
An interruption causes that reaction, and then it just all goes down the tubes, right? So that's a huge piece right there.
See, I have to tell you, in 5-year marriage, one of the things I talk about is to have a family meeting.
Yes.
So one of the things that Joseph likes a lot about having the family meetings is, because I'm the kind of person, we could be driving down the street and I'll say, I was thinking about, and he has a vehicle. He says, that's a really good thing to talk about. Can we bring it up in the family meeting?
Yes. Perfect.
So that. And I'm okay with that because we have that agreement to have the family meeting. And then he's okay with it because it's not going to ruin the rest of his day.
Right.
That we get into a conversation while one of us is driving that we can't think about.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And women love to talk when he's driving. That's the absolute worst time to have any kind of, especially if it's a heavy conversation. It's just like, no, they need.
But you're sitting in the passenger seat and your mind's wandering and you're thinking, you should talk about this, and then you bring it up.
Yeah, I know, because we're we do that. We definitely do that, and so just knowing that there is a good time to talk and a bad time, and then there's like the what to say, and the attitude. Again, coming from an attitude of partnership. We actually have like an 8-step needs. This is how to ask for what you need. And part of it is getting him at the right time and letting him know what it's all about. And starting with appreciation. Like men play to win, right? And you have him win, and he'll want to do more of that. I think the thing that a lot of women do, like a lot of mistakes, and I've done it, Lord knows, is saying, well, this is what's wrong. Instead of like, this is what's working, this is what works, and what would make it even better, what would work for me, what I need is if you could do this. And then there's the partner question. Is there anything that you need to give me what I'm asking for? Because then it's not a demand. It's sort of like, yeah, we're partners, we're on the same team, and we're working towards something. And Lord knows, like, men so want to make, especially our husbands, they want to make us happy.
They really do. You know what? A lot of times people, when I say I really think that men really want to make the women that they're with happy.
Oh,
and
100%.
And a lot of women will say, oh yeah, I can't even possibly believe that. It's like, yeah, they really do.
Yes.
They sometimes just don't know how, and we don't tell them how they can do that.
It's like, and even say, this is what would make me really happy, and if you do that, that would make me so happy. But then you got to give them the happy. You know what I mean? Because then it's like, oh, well, maybe if I hold out a little bit longer, and it's like, no, then they'll just go away. It just totally. I see some nods. It's like, that is how to bring out the frog in men. Like, just knowing that stuff. So always, like, do we have problems? Like, there's all kinds of problems that come up in a marriage. And I don't believe it's the problems that sink the marriage. It's how you respond to the problems.
Yeah, it's like one of the big things, one of the 5 big things is lack of appreciation.
Yeah. Well, that's part of it. That's got to be, if you think of it like putting air in the tires. He's a car. He's like a Maserati. You gotta appreciation every day for everything. Notice what he does, and it's almost like, yeah, it's like the fuel that keeps him gives him the energy to provide. Right. I was trying to think of the right way to say that, but yeah, it's like the fuel.
There's a motivation that happens, yeah.
Yeah. Because otherwise nothing's worth doing, right? That's what makes it worth it. And as human beings, we're always like, well, is it worth it? Is it going to take more energy? And then she just won't appreciate it anyway. So you start out, when you ask for something, you start with appreciation and then you finish. How would you like to be appreciated for that?
And that's really, and that asking what would make a difference to you? If I did this, would that make you feel good? Yes. If I did that, what would make you feel best?
Well, yeah. Well, yes. Like, what would that provide, yeah. Right? They so live for that. And just let me know.
We were going to have to go, but tell me, if you have one tip that you can leave my viewers, what would that be?
Oh. It's just the attitude of partnership. I think that's so important. Like, you are on the same team working toward the same thing, and give him the benefit of the doubt, know that he really wants to make you happy, and let him win. Give him a way to win with you.
That idea of partnership, Betti, is so important. I think that's what I think sometimes people don't get. They don't get that this is a partnership, and you have to have agreements, and you have to talk. Yeah. You have to do that. So then that's excellent. Thank you so much.
You're
Betti,
so welcome.
If people want to find you, how do they find you?
You can go to blissfullymarried.com.
And for 5-Year Marriage, you can go to amazon.com and you can get the book, 5-Year Marriage, Shifting the Marriage Paradigm. You can find me on Facebook at 5-Year Marriage and Instagram, and of course you can go to the website 5yearmarriage.com. Thanks so much for joining us today, and thank you to Betti, and I'll see you next time. Jen's on.